Altona in Victoria, an ageing industrial precinct powered by gas. Qenos makes more than half of the plastic components used in Australia.
Everything from flexible packaging, rigid packaging. When you get out of bed in the morning, you won't have got far from the bed and we'd be all over you. The shampoo bottle in the shower.
The factory has a dedicated pipeline to gas rigs off the coast of Victoria.
We use gas not only as a fuel source, but the predominant use of the gas is as the feedstock or the raw material to make our product.
In the current market, that's a problem for the company.
We've seen the price of gas increase 2.5 to 3 times. So, one of the things we've had to do is let go about 15% of the workforce.
I think if you're a manufacturing company and gas is 5% of your costs, sometimes it's 10, 15, 20% of your costs, then you most certainly would see it as a crisis. For many of them, it's an existential threat. That is to say, they're weighing up whether they can still stay in business.
Those using gas in their homes are also hurting.
My last gas bill, well, originally they estimated, and this was for July of this year, that it would be approximately $205. We've got the solar panels up on the roof. So
that was before Graham Martin switched most of his appliances away from gas.
But my estimation is that over the winter period, the switch to electricity from gas will at least halve my bill.
In Victoria, where Graham lives, residents have been particularly hard hit by rising gas prices. Between 2015 and 2017, bills shot up by 16%. In Tasmania, bills rose by 13%, and there was an average increase of 2% across the country. In the coming year, many South Australians will see a 4.5% rise in their bills. Others in New South Wales and southeast Queensland will be hit by a 3.5% rise.
Gas ducted heating like this probably made sense 50 years ago when this house was first built, but that was back in the days when we didn't have to worry about the environmental impact, and also, of course, gas was so much cheaper back then.
So just how did gas prices end up so high? 3 massive gas export plants in Queensland have transformed the East Coast gas market. When they switched on in 2015, gas was sold to the highest global bidder, pushing up domestic prices.
Right now, people on the East Coast are paying far too much for gas, which means they're also paying far too much for electricity. And what we are doing by having high energy costs is really just shooting ourselves in the foot.
The Australian Industry Group says local companies are becoming less competitive because gas prices are so high, and they could go higher.
The upper limit is the pain point or the closure point for gas users, and we have seen a number of gas using businesses close their doors in the past year.
One complaint is suppliers are deliberately withholding gas from the local market.
They fix the price by starving the market. They never don't supply the market, they just make it very difficult to get hold of gas at a reasonable price.
Bruce Robertson analyses gas markets for a pro-renewables financial analysis group, IEFA. He says export deals are not the only problem.
We have a small number of players, a cartel of players, controlling the price and setting that price above international parity prices.
There are simply not enough competitors in our gas market. We've got a cartel arrangement operating on the East Coast, and that's why Australians have been suffering with high gas prices, and it's totally unacceptable.
Now, we know Rex gets very emotional about these issues, and you know, he's right to make sure that we have a good, strong focus on ensuring the development of the East Coast gas market. But to suggest that there is some sort of cartel is just patently untrue.
Businesses reliant on gas are quick to point the finger.
We're in the situation we're in now because of failure of government at all levels, federal and state, Liberal and Labor, over a long period of time.
Today we announced important policies and measures to help continue to provide affordable access to gas to all Australians.
The government is scrambling to address the issue. In return for Centre Alliance's support for its tax reform package, the government has promised to examine 3 ways to bring down gas prices.
Gas and a fair deal on gas.
The government has announced a number of mechanisms, including a review of the Australian Domestic Gas Security Mechanism, a prospective gas reservation policy and increased transparency measures. We will now wait and see what the outcome of those particular measures are, and if necessary we can go back around the buoy and introduce more changes if that's what's required.
Industry wants action now.
We're going to need some short-term measures or intervention to ensure that consumers and large industrials have adequate supply of competitively priced gas in the interim.
Not everyone thinks the government's measures will make much difference.
Nothing that any Australian government can do or is likely to do is going to return gas prices to the historic average.
Australia is poised to become the world's largest exporter of gas, and now companies are racing to build gas import terminals in New South Wales and Victoria. Australian Industrial Energy is one of those companies, planning to build a gas import facility right here in Port Kembla, an hour south of Sydney.
It's a vessel, it's a boat, about 300 metres long. It will sit in the inner harbour in Port Kembla, and it has everything on board that's needed to turn liquefied natural gas back into natural gas and compress it into the existing pipeline system.
The company's CEO says it will bring prices down.
We just need more supply. All gas is good gas, and whether that supply is coming from new domestic projects or from imports like Port Kembla, I think it's just a way of meeting a demand.
Import terminals are not a solution, they are a symptom of a problem. We are the largest exporter of gas in the world. There is no way that we should be importing gas into this country.
The government says its actions so far have reduced prices. In a statement, Resources Minister Matt Canavan said the best way to lower prices was to produce more gas and increase competition. The federal government is pushing the states to lift bans on new gas developments, a move supported by gas suppliers. But gas producers reject the government's plans to tighten market regulations.
We're really trying to encourage that the governments across the country take a very minimalist approach to getting involved in the domestic gas market.
I can understand why the gas producers don't want any intervention. They're making an enormous amount of money at the moment.
The country's competition regulator remains at a loss.
If you want to fix the gas market, you would not start where we are. Any other problem you want to talk about, I can give you a solution. The gas market is really tricky.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 730's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.